Welcome everyone. So I'm very happy to share this technique on how to create a connection to a file, add some comments and formulas, and keep everything in line with the information here. Before we start, the connection needs, the file needs to have a primary key. This is mandatory. If you don't have a primary key, it's not even, you can't even go further. If you don't have a primary key, which could happen, you can try to create a compounded key, which means, for example, you compound first name, last name, address. I don't really recommend that. It's much better to have the primary key, but if you have no choice, that could be a temporary solution. The problem is that sometimes people get married, change their name, or they move to a different place, and the address is changing as well. So it's not a very strong primary key. Another thing to consider is that you may have a record with a timestamp, so date plus time. This could also be used as a primary key in some cases. So just keeping this in mind. Okay, so let's start. The first thing we want to do is to go in data, and we're going to create here an extraction from CSV. So from text CSV, I'm clicking here, and I'm going to go in the PowerQuery setting that I created. Bring the information here, and I'm going to load I'm going to load this into as a table in the existing worksheet right here. Perfect. So this will be my connection to the CSV file. If I change something here, it will be reflected here. That's relatively straightforward. One thing I love to do is to, if you look at what happened here, we have the type which has been changed. I will just delete this for now. I'll come back to it later. And in the source, I have the name of the source. So that's a full path. Just close and load. And I'm going to add the name as a name here. So that will be path. I'm going to paste this here. Name it source path. And I'm going to go again in data. And this time I'm choosing from table range. The beauty of it is that it's going to create it almost automatically. I have source path. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to drill down on the first one. When I drill down on the first one, which means colon 1, source 0, I have the information, and I can use that directly into Control C, my Power Query. In the source here, and I'm going to bring it here like this. Nope. Don't think I copied it. Control C, going back here. Source. And this one will go here. Press enter. Checking that everything is working fine. Nothing should have changed. Perfect. Okay. So step number 1, that's great. Now, I'm going to go in the advanced editor and I'm going to start to rename a few things. So this one will be source CSV, because this is a CSV file. When you do a change like this, don't forget to change the end as well. So this should be working fine as well. Okay, perfect. Now what we want to do is to bring the information from Excel as well. So I'm just going to close and load. Okay, now I'm going to add a comment. Great, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, now the problem is if I right click here, insert 0, Vancouver, I press 0 here, I save, I refresh, what happened is that the comments are all over the place because it didn't follow. So we need to find a way to make sure that the comments are going to follow. I'm just going to delete this, save, yeah, refresh again. Now they're back to the normal place, but you see that adding some colon in between will create a big problem. So what we want to do is to keep the information of the link between, or the connection between this and this, the primary key and the comment, and at the same time bring the information that are related to the CSV file. So that's what we're going to try to do here. In order to do that, we're going to load this table with the information of the comment in PowerQuery. So I'm going to click here. And now I have my Power Query here. I'm very interested in the source. So I'm going to copy this. Control C, escape. Going to Power Query. I'm going to the advanced editor. And I'm going to add a comma here, press enter, source, Excel file. So it's what I've been entered in Excel. And that will be equal to what I have copied, which means this. Okay. Control C, Control V, press done. So now I have my source with Excel with the information here for the comment and these two. Perfect. This I don't need anymore. I'm just going to remove it. Delete. Okay. Close and load. I have, and this will happen every time whenever you add a new comment, a new column, it will create this. Now I can remove this. Now, what I want to know is if I add a second comment, will it work as well? And also by using this technique, how can I make sure that this information will stay the same? So we need to go a little bit further in the query. We're going to make a reference so that the information that we have here, this one, will be the information from the CSV, and the information that we have here will be the information from the Excel file. Because whenever we're going to refresh, we want this information to be updated, for example, with Vancouver, and this to be kept, but in relation to the number that has been created in the source. So this is pretty much what we're trying to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the home, and we're going to merge the query by merging it by itself and then modifying it. So I'm going to merge the query with itself. The key are the number, and I'm going to press OK. That will be my merge query. Now, the source, the first one, will be CSV. And I want to merge it with source XLS, and the last one, source Excel. Perfect. So press enter. Now this is the CSV file, and this is the information that are based on source Excel that are brought into this. So if I press here and I select the comment, I delete this, we'll see why later on, then now I have the same information that we had previously. So it's pretty cool. Close and load. Okay, now if I add a new row here, insert, I'm going to name it 0, Vancouver, 0, and I press refresh here, save here, refresh. What happened is that A, B, C, D, E, F, G as followed, because this is the result of the merge with this one. So this is working really cool. That's perfect. Now, if I add a second comment, and then if I refresh, what will happen is that, okay, thank you, Flashfield. When I'm going to remove that, delete, and refresh again, save and refresh, sorry, you see that this is not working anymore. For some reason, it deleted the information. Why? Because there is no link between the second comment and the primary key that has been established. So how to do this? Well, we have to go back to the query, Alt F12, and then when we say expand, we also need to expand with the second source. So I'm going to redo the expansion, and this time I'm going to select the second comment as such. Okay, of course we'll have to adjust that. Go close and load. It did what it is going to do all the time, so I'm just going to remove this. It's something you just need to do once, and after that there's no problem. A, B, B, up, Control E, I think. Here we go. Okay, perfect. Now if I go back here and I go back again with Vancouver, 0. Okay, refresh. It's working fine. Great. Now the problem is that first, it's something you can make a mistake by forgetting to update, and it's a rather technical thing if you're going to have a beginner's user using this file. So one thing we can do is to automate that process. So we're going to go here, and what we want is to extract the information from sheet 1 with the headers, and take the information if the headers contain a formula or not, because that's the other problem we want to work with. So if I type formula here and I say it's equal to the amount times 10%, okay, when I'm going to refresh, I want this formula to stay the same, which is the case right now. But with the system we're going to implement, we're going to tell PowerQuery that those columns are the one that needs to be expanded. We don't want to expand the formula. So in order not to expand the formula, we'll have to identify that the formula should not be expanded. It will make sense. So we're going to use transpose. There we go. I'm going to transpose the array which is here. So that will give me this. Perfect. Now I want to do the same thing, but for this one, and I want to know if there is a formula. So we can do this, offset. There's probably other ways to do it. We're going to offset this, and we're going to go one row down, 0 row to the right. I use semicolon, use a comma, it's just a French setting, and then we're going to use here transpose. Okay, so I have this. Now I don't want the offset, I want the formula. So is formula of this. Perfect. And that's giving me the true false as we want. Okay. We want both together, so what we can do is to bring them together with the h stack. So h stack this, comma on your computer this hashtag, and we go. So we have one thing here. We could bring them together easily. Control C, going back here, Control V, still working fine. Taking all this, Control C, and we're going to bring it here, Control V, perfect. I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to bring this here. Excellent. Now we're going to load that. So I'm going to load that as a new table. I'm not going to change the type. I'm just going to rename this. So what we want to do is to first exclude the colon. So I'm just going to keep the false because I want to have comment and second comment as the list. And I want from this to exclude anything in the Power Query expanding, so from the source CSV and the column that we have here. So there's two steps here. The first step is to get the name of the columns that are in the CSV and to exclude those names from that list, so we only have comment and second comment, with a small difficulty, which is we have to manage list and tables. So let's do that. So this one is interesting. We're going to go back here. First, we're going to get the list of the column names from source CSV. So in order to do that, I'm going to click here, create a new one, and I will say equal table dot column name, and I'm going to take the source CSV. Press enter. Oops. At the end, it's better. Interesting. Oops, sorry. So table only once. Here we go. So we have the list here, and you can see on this thing here that shows that it's a list. So it's not a table per se. So we have to transform that into a table. So we're going to click here to transform it as a table. Press OK. Okay, so now I have my column 1 and the CT is the amount. And from array, I have this one that I want to compare. Okay, perfect. So what we want to do now is to merge those two using a merge query, but it's a specific type of merge query, which is an anti-merge query. So we want everything that goes from here, and we want to exclude those. So let's do this. First, I'm going to bring those two here into one formula, so it would be easier to read. So I'm going to have the source. This one will take it. Control X, I'm going to bring it here. So I only have one formula. I can remove that. And now I have my source, and the entire thing here is interesting for me. This is the source, so this will be the columns. And this is the column from Excel. Okay. And let's do column names, Excel. That should be good. Don't forget this. So So as always, we want to test, Control C, Control V, press done. We still have exactly the same, perfect. So I'm going to go back to the advanced editor and select all this. Control C, cancel, delete this. Yes. Going back to PowerQuery and going back to advanced editor, I'm going to add this one here at the end. Here we go. And I'm going to have the column name Excel, press done. So now I have my column name Excel. I also have here the list of columns from the CSV, which is coming from that. So I'm going to also do the same thing here in order to have something really clean. So the what I want here is the column names CSV, which is coming from theirs, and this is coming from this. Control C, Control V. So I'm bringing everything into one step. Here we go. Press done. Okay, so nothing has changed except that here I have directly my list of columns and here as well. So I find it much easier to structure the file so that for each applied step we see exactly what's going on. Okay, now what we want to do is to create a list of the columns that are in Excel and not in this one. So we're going to use the merge queries, as I said. We're going to merge again on itself, column 1, we don't need to change the column. And we're going to use this one, which is the left-hand tie, so rows only in first. So we take all the left and rows only in first, and we're going to keep those that are on the first one. Now, of course, we want to compare the column name Excel with the column name CSV. Okay, and this one, so press enter, and now I'm done, and I just need to zoom on this. So right click here, drill down, and that will give me the list of the column that we need to consider. That list does not include the formulas and does not include the column from the CSV. That's exactly what we want. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. So I'm going to name it as column data entered Excel. It's equal as this. The merge anti-queries is equal to this, Control C, and I'm going to bring this here. Okay. Remove that, and let's see if it's working fine. Control C, Control V, press done. Great. So I have now my list. So I can even remove, I'm going to rename it as list. That will be, it's not mandatory, but it's a good one. Okay, now I want to use this when I'm going to expand so that this will be replaced by the list, which means the expanded source Excel should be moved forward and this one should be moved before. So again, in the advanced editor, I'm going to take this one. Also, this one is based on merge queries. I'm going to remove this and bring that into this one here. So it will be, again, cleaner and easier to read. Okay, done. I'm testing that everything is working fine. That's my expanding one. So from the expanding one, I'm going to bring the expanding source below. So I prefer to do it directly here just to be sure that it's working. So it's source Excel expanded. I'm going to even remove this. So expanded. Here we go. I'm going to take all that, Control X. Bring this here, comma, enter, paste. Make sure that this is what I'm going to return at the end. No comma here. And finally, the list of column data entered, I'm going to bring them here. Control V and Control V. Here we go. So if it's working fine, we should have the source Excel expanded with comment and second comment. Sounds good. Do we have a third comment here? I don't think we have it yet. And then I'm going to close and load. Okay, so let's see if it's working fine. There's been a lot of work here in this one. So The formula is still there. The second comment is still there. Okay, so let's test that. If I refresh that, okay, if I go here and I save, there is 0 Vancouver, and I refresh again. 0 Vancouver has been added. Everything is following perfectly. Great. I'm going to remove Vancouver and do a few more tests. So one of the tests is to add a third comment. Here we go. Same thing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Control E. And I'm going to save this. Refresh again. Everything has followed perfectly. Third comment 2, we said we just need to remove that. And we have everything working fine here. I add another formula, formula 2 equal this time 20% this time. Okay, now I'm going to refresh, see if everything is forming. Yes, so this is not transforming to a value, which would have happened if we didn't work with this. And also when I'm going to add a new one here and a new one here, 0 Vancouver, 0 7, let's go to Rome 700, and I save, I refresh here, and everything has followed perfectly. You see that all the information is well aligned with their numbers. We have the new rows that have been added. So that file is working very well. It has almost everything you need. Now, a few things to keep in mind. As I mentioned, you absolutely need a primary key. If you don't have a primary key, it's not going to work. So that's one thing. The second thing is, whenever you're going to add a fourth comment, the process is to refresh and delete the new column that has been created, as you see here. So I'm just going to delete that. Another thing to keep in mind is that the formula will always be pushed to the right. I didn't find a way to avoid that, and I believe that the result of the query is going to automatically expand and push any formula to the right, which is a great way to work, I think, in some ways. But yeah, so something to keep in mind. The reorganizing the columns will not be easy to do, but it could also help a lot. And finally, one thing that I don't have a solution yet. I believe it's possible to find a solution because we have the information here. We could save a copy of that and then make sure that we look at the rows that would have been deleted. So the problem is if I delete Montreal here, so let's do it. I'm going to delete Montreal here. I save, then I'm just going to refresh. And what happened is that Montreal has been deleted. Now, if I add again Montreal, so if I undo that, so I'm going to add, so refresh first. It's tricky with the Control Z. I'm going to add back Montreal. I got insert. There you go. Free Montreal. And I'm going to add it back with 300. If I refresh, save and refresh, then what happened is that we lost information of the comment. It makes a lot of sense. The data have been deleted from the database, and therefore you're losing them here, and they're bringing it back, and then of course you lost those data here. So there's probably a ways to go around that by saving temporarily the information somewhere else. I'm not sure if it's completely doable, but maybe. However, this is something to keep in mind for that specific file. I hope you learned a lot. I hope this will be helpful for you, and I wish you a very good voyage in this experience. So I'm going to upload this file as well, so you can find it as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.